Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, let's bring you this conversation. Appointed as the British High Commissioner to the Republic of Namibia in January 2021, Charles Moore is leaving Namibia as his tenure has come to an end. Now, he has been on his program so many times, and of course, today he joins us, of course, giving him a full circle moment as we bid him farewell. Good morning to you, High Commissioner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me back again.
Absolutely. It's always been a pleasure, in fact, having you on our program, Good Morning Namibia. Let's talk about the past 4 years, perhaps the time that you've most enjoyed in the past 4 years as High Commissioner to the Republic of Namibia.
There's been so many moments. I mean, this is such a diverse and beautiful country.
Yeah.
And whether it's about working here or living here, engaging with the government, engaging with the people of Namibia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all been a privilege and a joy. And getting to know Namibia so well over the past 4 years, it's, I feel like it's been a real privilege and an honor to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say were some of the significant changes you've observed as High Commissioner, or you've observed in Namibia during your tenure?
I mean, again, so many. But I mean, when you think back, I mean, I arrived just at the beginning of the third wave of COVID.
That's right.
And I think we all forget COVID now because it seems a bit of a long time
Almost
away.
seems like it never happened. Actually.
Exactly. But
yeah.
I mean, in 2021, that was when Namibia got hit really badly by COVID. And we all shut down for 6 weeks. And it's easy to forget those sort of days. So massive changes from that. But also, of course, the death of Hagi Geingob.
Yeah.
And it was a privilege to know him, and we got on well together. We had a similar sense of humour, and we always enjoyed. I always enjoyed meeting him and being with him. So that was a seismic moment for Namibia. Then, of course, the founding father's death earlier this year, and the elections, the new president.
Yeah.
So many actually quite seismic moments in Namibia's history, which I've been proud to be witness to.
Yeah.
And I think there's a really bright future ahead for Namibia. It's a really exciting time. And so I'm leaving at a time when, with the new president, with the new government, I think it's going to be a really exciting time for Namibia over the next 5 years.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to what you just mentioned now, of course, you were also present at the inauguration of the Namibia's first female president at State House.
Yeah.
Dr. Just expand a bit more on that moment, what it was like for you to be part of Namibia's history, the new era that, of course, has just come upon us.
I was actually there on the evening when the election results were announced.
Right.
And there weren't many of us there. I think there was only one other head of mission who was there. And so I was actually able to congratulate the president when her election result was announced last year. And it's also quite poignant because the UK has had some female leaders before.
Right.
Margaret Thatcher, Theresa May. So we've had female leadership, and I think female leadership changes a country positively because it's a different style of thought, it's a different type of leadership, and so I think Namibia is well placed to benefit from that. I mean, we have now a largely female cabinet, including in all the top positions in Namibia, and I think that's actually quite an interesting. It's going to be quite an interesting time. So to witness that it's nice.
Yeah. Now, you are a career diplomat who have served in many countries, of course, and drawing up to a personal experience. How how does Namibia actually compare to those previous countries that you've served in?
I mean, I try not to compare the countries because I was saying this is my 9th posting. My 5th posting in Africa. So.
Right.
And in a way, it's difficult to compare them because they're all so different in many ways.
Right.
And I've enjoyed all of them, but this one has certainly been the best because I think I see Namibia as a sort of full package. You've got a safe and stable democracy. You've got beautiful scenery, bird life, wildlife. I like photography, so. There's so much to do and enjoy here.
Yeah.
And so I think I've always said that Namibia is like the full package, which makes it pretty unique in itself. So it's been so enjoyable.
Speaking of the fun things to do, what would you miss most about the fun of Namibia?
Yeah. Well, traveling around it.
Yeah.
I've driven over 130,000 kilometers around the country, from Oranienbunt to Katima and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
And just being able to see so much of this place has been a privilege.
Yeah.
I've been to Etosha regularly, obviously to the coast, done so much tourism, but part of my job, obviously my job is to represent the UK in Namibia, but I also feel an obligation to represent Namibia in the UK as well. And so encouraging more people to know where Namibia is, what Namibia does, what it offers, both as a tourist destination and a business destination.
Absolutely. Now, during your farewell courtesy call, President Tumona Ndaitwa noted that Namibia and the UK, of course, cooperation is key to economic growth. What areas of cooperation will your successor be looking to foster during his tenure?
Well, he'll be carrying on, as I did from my predecessor, to enhance certainly the bilateral trading relationship that we have.
Right.
Trade has tripled over the past 4 years between Namibia and the UK, and there's an awful lot more to do. Namibia is still growing.
Yeah.
The UK is looking for more trading opportunities in Africa. And so I think there's an awful lot to do on that. But a lot of it is about promotion. And, I've been working very closely with Linda Scott, Namibia's High Commissioner in London.
Yeah.
And we work closely together to develop these sort of trading links and look for new opportunities. So I think a lot of my successor's activity will be around continuing that, but also deepening the political relationship, especially as the new government settles in, understanding Namibia's priorities, and then seeing how we can help, because it's a partnership. It's about the UK supporting Namibia on its journey, whichever direction that journey is going to be in.
Absolutely. Now, going back to what you just said earlier on, High Commissioner, you of course mentioned the time that you've experienced, of course also being part of Namibia's significant moments as Namibia's third president, Dr. Hage Geingob, passing. Talk to us about that time especially, and also how do you think the relationship between the two countries have evolved during that time until now?
Well, I think President Geingob, I had some times with him on a quite a personal level where I found him to be not just a warm personality, but I thought I was quite humbled by his commitment to the people of Namibia and developing the country in the right way.
Yeah.
And I really felt that even in a sort of personal conversation where one time I said to him, what keeps you awake at night? And he said, poverty and inequality. And he didn't even blink. I mean, those were the two highest priorities he had. Big challenges, and you can't address those sort of things overnight, and he knew that. Yeah. And I was actually in Sossusvlei when he passed. And it just came as a shock to everybody, really. I think whilst people knew that he was not well, I think his passing was actually more sudden than anybody expected.
Right.
And I suppose in a way that's sometimes easier than somebody who deteriorates over a long time. But it really brought the nation together, and I think it was fabulous to witness Namibia sort of uniting in grief for his mourning and the memorial and the burial. The country simply united in grief, and it was a pleasure to have Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal attend the funeral, and that helped relationships as well, because it showed Namibia actually how committed we are to the relationship. That a senior royal came to Namibia for the funeral.
Absolutely. Now, in your 4 years of being a High Commissioner, what would you say were the most challenging diplomatic problems that you've encountered during your career, and what did they teach you?
Well, I mean, a diplomatic career is always so very varied, and it's also quite unique. I mean, nobody, certainly in our system, nobody has the same career, because I've done nine postings, but nobody else has ever done those same countries and the same jobs that I've done in the UK. So, in the early 2000s, for example, I was dealing with North Korea, which is quite a challenging political issue. But over my career, I think I've experienced 2 earthquakes. I've been in riots. I had a kidnap threat when I was in Korea. And so, there are many challenges. Being a diplomat, whilst you have a privilege of getting to know the wider world, yes, there are hardships and difficulties that you can encounter, but it's all part of life, really. And I think it's, you can see obscene wealth and you can see dire poverty and everything in between. And it's all about understanding how the world works and what we can do to try and make it better.
Absolutely. Well, can we expect you to, of course, return back to Namibia after having had such a successful, perhaps, 4 years in the country?
Well, I mean, I certainly will be back. I mean, Africa is in me. I mean, I feel half African, having spent about 30 years on the continent.
Have you gotten your African name yet?
Not yet, unless you want to christen me. But no, I think I can't stay away. I mean, it's there's so much that I've enjoyed about Namibia that certainly at some point I'll be back to refresh everything I've done here, and it'll be a pleasure to do that, and also to follow developments in the meantime to see Namibia succeed. So it's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, what advice do you have for your successor or any other diplomat due to arrive in Namibia, or perhaps for an official posting?
I mean, as I did, get to know the country, get to know the people, and he will. I mean, that's what we do as diplomats. You can't see Namibia through Windhoek eyes. It's easy to come and visit Windhoek and to be impressed. Everything works. It's a clean and safe and healthy city. But you've got to get out in the country and understand how everything works here in the different regions. So get around the regions as quickly as you can. Engage not just with the government, but with the regional governments, with the police, with the governors around the country, so that you can really understand the challenges that Namibia faces, because there are some real challenges. But also, how many opportunities there are here as well. And but I mean, I know my successor will do that, because he's a seasoned diplomat himself. So, but that's really the key, is understanding how a country works, and as I said, to understand what direction the government wants to go in, and how we can help them on that journey, how we can partner them in whichever ways it is best.
Absolutely. Mr. Charles Moore, thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much, of course, for spending the past 4 years with us. Of course, so much has happened in the past 4 years. Thank you so much for your service, and of course, wish you nothing but the best,
Well, that's really kind of you, and thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed all the time that I've spent with NBC, and you've been very good to me, and I've really cherished those moments. So thank you for the final opportunity.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Wish you nothing but the best,
Thank you so much.
Outgoing British High Commissioner to Namibia, Charles Moore, was of course taking us through the past 4 years of being a High Commissioner to Namibia, and of course what he actually hopes to, of course, see as his successor, of course, takes time. Of course, he leaves tomorrow already, as he already just mentioned to us here, and of course hope to see who will be, of course, taking up his position, and of course what the relationship will be like between Namibia and the United Kingdom. We'll be right back with more interviews right here on Good Morning Namibia. Stay with us.